Good day, viewers, good day, farmers. How you doing? I want to appreciate you for always viewing our videos, and don't forget to share and also subscribe to our channel. Today we'll be talking about our soils because there are so many kind of understanding, different kind of understanding that farmers give concerning our soil. A clean or a simple definition of the soil is the upper part of the earth crust where plants grow, but if we go in details, it's more detailed than that because the soil are made up of so many components and contains organic matter, air, and parent materials. And all these things make up the soils and gives you the type of soil you have in different areas. That's why different crops are peculiar to different areas because of the type of soil and also because of their weather that is in that area and is peculiar and suitable for that type of soil. Now, if we want to go in details, this video is going to be quite long because I want us to understand it. The main aim of this video is to give us an idea of the different kind of soils, of how we should know this kind of soils and not equate our soils or compare our soils in your own locality to the soil of another locality. Every soil is distinct, every soil is unique, every soil has its own capacity to work according to its own physical makeup, chemical makeup, and biological makeup. So the soil in a particular area will only work according to the capacity of the soil, and that's why we always talk about soil quality and soil health. Soil quality describes simply the capacity or the ability of the soil to work according to its own properties or according to its own characteristics. For example, I'm average height. You wouldn't expect me to do what a taller person would do. I will only reach out to heights that are on my own level. I can't go above that. I can only make long strides according to the length of my legs. I can't go beyond that. That's how it is. And now a longer person. But the longer person, the taller person, not longer person, the taller person will have his own limitations too because there are certain things I can do the taller person can't do. That is how our soils are. There are certain things this particular soil will do according to its capacity that the other soil cannot do. So that's why soils are different. And you should rate your soil if it is performing optimally according to its own properties. Now, what about soil health? The It describes the continuous ability for the soil to work and support plant life, like the soil as a living entity. For it to keep working and support plant life, the soil should be healthy enough, free of heavy metal, free of things that will be toxic to your plant, and also have adequate soil nutrients. Now, I want to bring this to our understanding that not all soil have the same level of organic matter. Not all soils have the same level of nutrients because of what? Its properties. We have different physical properties. When we go to physical properties, we're talking about the bulk density, the soil texture, and also the water holding capacity, and many other, the tilt, the workability of the soil, even how well the soil can be congealed together, can come together, and how well they can be dispersed. You know, a soil that can be easily dispersed, a soil that can even be susceptible to degradation and also erosion. That's it. Now, going back with this and these few things I've mentioned, let me quickly go into the chemical properties of the soil. We're talking about the pH level, which is the reaction of the soil on pH scale, either as an acidic soil or as an alkaline soil. We can always observe that mostly crop grow between a pH of 6.5 to 7, and the 7 is always the neutral pH level, which means it's good for crop to grow. But then that doesn't mean acidic soil don't support plant life. That doesn't mean a level of alkalinity don't support plant life. When we talk about alkaline soils, are soils above pH of 7, and then acidic soil are soil below pH of 7. So in my own area, in the southern part of Nigeria, River State, in fact, south, River State, Akwa Ibom, Abia State, we usually have acidic soils here. And our soils are usually, they fall, if we want to go into the texture, they fall in between sandy loam, loamy sand, sandy clay loam, loamy clay, and just we have high proportion of sand in it. I'm going to come to that. Now, let's know that there's something we call soil order, the soil order. What is the soil order? The soil order just takes these basic characteristics I have mentioned, these various characteristics I have mentioned, pack them up together and describe the soil. So you can see if you go to America, there are certain soil there that we can't find here. For example, in Niger Delta and South Africa, you will be sure to see molluscs in some areas, and sometimes you see that in your mangrove. They are very high in organic matter. You also see vertisol. You see that in some areas of Cross River State. Antisol. You also see insectisol. You see ultisols, and some areas alphasols. Soils that are high in aluminium and hydrogen. Aluminium. Soils that has good number of aluminium. Now the ultisols are old leach soils. That doesn't mean that the ultisols can't work. No, the ultisols can work. Doesn't mean that the antisols can't support plant life. No, they can, because in the antisols we have even antisols that are good for agriculture. Doesn't mean that because the molluscs have high organic matter, they are the best soils. No, that doesn't mean so. But your own soil in your own area should be able to have certain things that a farmer should look out for. Now, coming down, the farmer usually classify a soil by texture. Now, you hear something like the best soil for a farmer to farm on is a loamy soil or a loam soil because it's humus. Loam is not humus. Humus is like an organic matter that is contained in the soil. So your level of humus or your level of organic matter determines the level of nutrient or richness of your soil, because they have to do with the organic carbon. They are the powerhouse of your soil when it comes to nutrient. Why am I saying so? Because the soil that is rich in organic matter and organic carbon, they're almost the same, but I'll stick with using organic matter because that's what we know. Organic matter are being formed from dead plant and animal remains that decay and get into the soil. A soil that is rich in that is able to support plant life. But are we going to only look at the nutrient capacity of the soil? No. Outside the nutrient capacity of the soil, what are the basic nutrients? We have nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We also have boron. We also have sulfur, sodium. We also have magnesium, manganese. All those are also needed in little quantities, in their adequate quantities. But then the life of a soil, when I mean the life of a soil, I mean the working capacity of the soil, does not just depend on the nutrient availability. That's why sometimes farmers will say, I have applied nutrient, I have added nutrients, I've supplied fertilizer, which will give us the nutrient, and it's not working. No. Have you checked about the water holding capacity? Have you also checked about the leaching level of the soil? Have you also checked if the soil is not living? It doesn't have organic matter. It doesn't have macro organism like earthworm, some insects you see that burrow into the soil and out of the soil. It doesn't have all that. So now, how do we know the best soil? Now, I want us to understand something, that by texture, looking at your soil by texture is a good way for farmers to determine what kind of soil they should use. Because farmers at their own level, they may not have the knowledge as a soil scientist to do all that. But we always advise for you to know everything about your soil. Take a soil for soil test. The soil scientist or the lab technician will test your soil and give you everything you need to know, both physical, chemical, and then biological. There are available soil test kits too, where farmers can have. Some farmers can have it on their farm. Always test your organic carbon level. Now, back to what I was saying. On texture, we have three classes or three categories of the soil, which are the sandy, the loamy, and the clay. We call it sand, loam, clay. Now, there are things we call soil particles, soil properties, soil particles that makes up the properties of the soil, that gives it its property. These are soil particles. What are the soil particles? We have the sand particle, the silt particle, and the clay particle. All of these have their work on the soil. So you cannot pick up a soil like this one now, and because it's like you say it's sand, now sand soil. No, you can't do that. It's really not nice. So talking about this class of soil by texture, I was saying that for you to classify a soil to be belonging to the sand class or a sandy soil, it means that Both the sand particle, the clay particle, and the silt particle are there, but just that the proportion of the sand particle is higher, probably 80%, 90%, 95, 90%. Let me put it that way. And then you also have, yes, you can have sand particles of 95%, and then you have little quantity of silt and then clay, and clay, yes, and everything up to 100%. Now, for a soil to be described as a loam soil, the sand particle have to fall a bit, and then you have a little bit of silt and clay particle, and it makes it loam. Well, that's the soils belonging to the loam class are usually are seen as the best soils. Why? Because they have good amounts of clay and considerable amount of silt and also sand particles. What does the sand particles do? The sand particles make it easy for the soil to have good aeration, water movement, and air movement. And remember that the clay particles they help in what in nutrients, nutrients elements binding to the surface area of the soil, while the silt particle also help as binding both the sand and the clay together. So for the soil to be described as belonging to loam class, that means sand particles have to fall down more than below 70%, and then considerable amount of silt and clay. Now moving to the clay particles, they are going to have higher amount of clay, but the soil that is having very high amount of clay, like even up to 50, 60%, that means the soil will not even allow penetration of easy penetration of the plant roots. So it's best to go with soils that have a good distribution of sand, silt, and clay. So back, there are soils that are clay in nature and they can do very well. And those soils, most times, they actually use it in cultivation of rice because it helps hold the water very well. In some areas that have clay soils, they always use in cultivation of rice. So you see now that according to the characteristics and property of soil, that determines how the soil should work. Remember, I said that. Now, a soil that is made up of total sand, you see that it's usually used in recreational activities like the beach. Like if you go to the beach, when I mean total sand, I mean a sand particle of above 90, above 90, and a very little clay and silt particle. You see your sharp sand and all that usually in the beach, they use for recreational activities. Now, back to sandy soils. Now, in this area where we have soils belong to the sandy class, we have loamy sand. We have loamy sand in this area, which means this sand, this particular soil that is in the loamy sand are good because they have good amount of silt and good amount of clay that will help hold the nutrients, that will help hold water, and will also help hold the plant's root and make the plant root to do what? To get nutrients. A soil that doesn't have good clay in it or that doesn't have at least some amount of clay in it cannot have nutrient binding around the soil. That's it. Now we go to the loam class. You see soil that are silty loam, clay loam, sandy loam. Sandy loam is good. Clay loam is good. It just means it has some amount of clay, a little bit higher amount of clay in the loam class. So they are good. Now if you go to the clay class, I've actually explained that too. Now what should you look out for as a farmer? Because sometimes the farmer may not be able to distinguish between these classes. What you should look out for as a farmer to determine that your soil is good for you should one, allow good water movement, not excessive water movement. Excessive water movement means once the soil receive water, it's going to dry up immediately. But good water movement from the top to the down of the soil. Also, good water holding capacity. Good water holding capacity, meaning that even as the water is moving from top to down, the soil can at least hold water for some time for the crop to use up. That's one. Another one is they should have good tilt. When I mean good tilt is they should be walkable. They should be easy to walk on. They should be easy to walk on, free, allow the penetration of walking materials. That's one. So it's a soil that doesn't have allow penetration of walking material. What farmers do in those areas, they till the soil. They till the soil and then make it soft. Then the soil should have good organic matter. Well, sometimes you may not know that, sometimes you may know that physically, but for you to be sure that your soil have good organic matter, it's best farmers treat their soil with organic matter. And I've dropped a video how to make your own organic manure, and your organic manure can be used in treating the soil. So those are the basic things that the farmer should look at. Then the bulk, if a soil is bulky, meaning the soil cannot um, allow the penetration of root. If the soil is bulky, which means the bulk density of the soil is high, the soil will not be able to allow good root penetration, good water movement, and also the crop will not be able to absorb nutrients from the plant, which means you see that the soil is always very thick, always compacted. The compacted soil can means the bulk density is increased. The soil will be compacted. The pore spaces are closed. All those soils that have closed soil pore spaces and compacted soil spaces, pore spaces are really not advisable for farmers to do what work on. If you have to do that, then you have to work on the soil. And how you work on the soil is by the till. You also use um organic manure to work on the soil. Well, I'm going to stop here for today. And if you have any questions on your soil, how you could work on your soil, you can drop on the comment section. Don't forget to share the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And we're going to do more videos on how we can best work on our soils according to our locality. Remember, do not compare your soils of your own locality to the soils of another locality. Soil quality are different. So know the quality of your soil, the strength of your soil, how your soil work, and then use your soil effectively, how it's going to give you product. Thank you very much. See you next time.